motorcycle crash leaves one man dead in Billings, and a bizarre crash in downtown Bozeman involves 4 vehicles. How it all happened, coming up.
A dynamic father-son duo with a passion for the outdoors and serving their community. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have the story coming up.
Well, good morning, Southwest Montana, 6:30 on this Monday. Chet Lehman, Caitlin Corbett, Matt Elwell. By the way, the beeping sound you were listening to, the fridge door was left open.
Way to go, Caitlin.
I solved your problem.
Wasn't me. I just heard the beeping. You know, I'm not going to say
I
it was
did too.
me.
It was the fridge door was left open. So we've solved one of life's little mysteries.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, better that than the carbon monoxide
Yeah.
detector
Sure,
or whatever.
yeah.
We had no idea.
We were nervous there for a while. So problem solved.
Man.
There you go.
Perfect. Every place is cold except the refrigerator.
Correct.
Temperatures this morning, not bad. The coldest place on the map, West Yellowstone, 34 degrees, which coincidentally is actually a little cooler than our refrigerator
That's
right
exactly
now.
right. Yeah.
Temperatures into the 40s and low 50s, mainly clear skies for the most part. We'll probably see temperatures pushing the 80s by the time you head into the mid part of the week, but we do have a shift in our weather pattern. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit.
I am just the messenger. Like I said, I just heard the beeps.
It's lovely right in front of the door, though. The air is nice and fresh in front of it. So
I was the last one to use the fridge, but I'm not
wasn't you
taking the
then.
blame for that one.
I have no idea. I just report the news. That's all I do.
Same. There were beeps. That's all I'm reporting. 6:31 now. The Madison County Sheriff is looking for your help.
Yeah, deputies say a burglary was caught on camera at a Norris business on Saturday. Sheriff's office was able to share these photos with us of the suspect. Now, if you have any information, please call Madison County Sheriff's Office at 406-843-5301.
And Billings police are investigating a motorcycle crash that took the life of a 54-year-old Billings man yesterday. The motorcyclist was traveling westbound on Laurel Road, trying to get onto eastbound Interstate 90. According to Billings Police Sergeant Harley Cagle, the man lost control and slid into eastbound interstate traffic. A Subaru Outback exiting eastbound on the King Avenue exit off-ramp struck the motorcyclist. Police are still investigating that crash.
Also, the Bozeman Police Department responded to a call about several vehicle crashes in the middle of downtown Bozeman around 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon. According to Bozeman Police, an off-road vehicle collided with a parked car on Main Street, then crashed into 3 other vehicles. Witnesses say it appeared that the driver of the off-road vehicle was trying to drive away after hitting the first car, went on to hit the other vehicles. Witnesses also say there was a female passenger that took off on foot after that crash, but this has not been confirmed by the police department. Bozeman PD did report that the driver of the ORV was arrested for driving under the influence. No other reported injuries at this time.
Montana reported 20 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday, with 5 of those cases in Gallatin County. To keep you up to date and informed, here are the numbers coming from the state tracking site. There have been a cumulative total of 717 cases in Montana. Now 209 of those are in Gallatin County. The number of deaths remains at 20. Well, millions of people continue to file for unemployment. That's because of pandemic business closures. But being out of a job is taking an even harder toll on certain groups, namely women. And it's happening here in Montana too. According to researchers, 56% of the unemployment claims since the start of the pandemic in Montana are women. Here's a look at why.
While millions of Americans are struggling, it's women who have been hit harder by job loss during the pandemic. This is according to an analysis by the Institute for Women's Policy Research. It found in April the unemployment rate for women increased almost 3 percentage points above the rate for men. That's a direct contrast to the 2008 recession, which left more men out of work. The Institute says this time is different because women dominate the fields that have had the most coronavirus-related layoffs, like hospitality and education. Women of color are even more heavily impacted, with the unemployment rate highest amongst Hispanic women. The Institute's president and CEO says many of those were low-wage jobs.
Both Black and Latina women, women of color, were economically vulnerable before the start of the pandemic, and the pandemic has only worsened those circumstances and their vulnerability.
But local organizations like the Women's Foundation of Montana are doing what they can to help curb that trend.
We have an online platform called Powerhouse Montana where women can connect to each other across the state of Montana, as well as finding mentors and resources. The Women's Foundation has really ramped up our educational webinars in the last couple of months because usually across the state, Powerhouse Montana groups meet in person in different communities. And right now, of course, they're not doing that. And so we've been trying to figure out how we can provide that same kind of connection and community and support online.
It's disheartening after a strong start to the year when the Institute celebrated women making up 50% of the workforce. They tell us women will face more challenges getting back to work compared to men.
If it feels hard, it's because it is. And communities, businesses, as well as policymakers need to step up to make sure that women who are unemployed have the opportunity to re-enter the workforce. And for those who can't, they have the necessary social supports they need to be able to take care of their families.
The Institute says the biggest barrier is a lack of child care support. It's also pushing for paid sick leave and higher wages.
Shifting gears a bit now, Gallatin County Search and Rescue responds to all rescue missions in the county to make sure people who are lost, stranded, or injured can make it home safely. MTN's Gabby Crevitt caught up with a father-son duo who risk it all to help others.
Joe and Justice Michek have a lot in common, including a love of the outdoors and a passion for service.
I always looked up to Dad as my role model. Growing up, him telling me stories of being in the military and his time in the mountains and all of that I gravitated towards.
5 years ago, Joe brought his search and rescue experience from the Navy to the Gallatin County Search and Rescue Team. 19-year-old Justice joined the crew as soon as he was able to. Joe says he's a natural.
He is actually really calm. He takes direction well. So being as young as he is, there's not many younger kids like him that have the ambition to do something like this.
The Micheks are highly skilled and trained volunteers, and like the rest of the team, at times they put their lives on the line for a rescue mission. Both father and son agree. It's a great opportunity to spend time together, be outdoors, and help the community.
In search and rescue, since it's always a different atmosphere, we adapt through different things and we grow closer in those serious or non-serious events, and then afterwards we can pat each other on the back.
Justice says he's glad to know his dad is with him on those tough calls.
He'll probably be the biggest inspiration in my life forevermore from this experience and experiences before.
And Joe says he enjoys every second of working with his son.
I really enjoy having him with me. It makes me really proud for him to do something like this.
Justice says he plans to enlist in the Navy, just like his dad, and then one day maybe join another search and rescue team. Reporting in Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
6:38, just a few months ago, it wasn't clear whether or not farmers markets would be open for summer here in Gallatin County, but they are opening up and with some added protocols because of COVID-19. MTN's Gabby Crevitt visited the Gallatin Valley Farmers Market on Saturday and has the story.
Today marks the start of my favorite time of the year, and that's farmers market season. Today in Bozeman, the Gallatin Valley Farmers Market kicked off its very first day, and you might notice it looked a little different than last year.
The baskets are $5. There's some heirlooms at the end if you like those.
While there are some of the same sounds and delicious smells in the air, the Gallatin Valley Farmers Market has made some adjustments because of COVID-19.
We just want to make sure that our vendors, our customers, and everybody is comfortable, safe, and just excited to come, not scared and nervous.
It's a new experience for foodies in Bozeman, a farmers market in the age of social distancing.
So we've spread our vendors out. We've asked people not to handle products so much unless you're buying.
Vendors are to wear masks or face coverings, and while it's highly encouraged, masks are optional for shoppers. Apart from the numerous social distancing reminders and the hand sanitizer stations, there are roughly half as many vendors as a normal year.
The stuff is the same, it's just less of it. It's very nice, very comfortable, very neighborly thing to have.
Linda Toronto is one of the owners of D&D West Greenhouses in Livingston. She says the protocols slow business down, but understands why they're in place.
The protocols we have to follow makes it a little harder for us. Waiting on people we can't wait on quite as fast and as many as we would like to.
Crowds were noticeably smaller, but there's a general sense that people are just excited to be out.
This is really the first event that we've been able to come back together and say hi and just support one another as a community again.
In Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
And the Bozeman Farmers Market is on Tuesdays from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Lindley Park.
Such a great time. I do love those.
Just excited to be out again.
Absolutely
I think that's
true.
generally a pretty exciting point for everyone.
I think so too. 6:40, we're going to take a quick break. We come back. Coronavirus pandemic has everyone focusing on the virus. But there's another health threat that has doctors concerned this summer. Coming up, the dangers of triple E. But first, here's a look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. We're happy to be back in Studio 57 after nearly 100 days of broadcasting from home. It's great to be back and ahead on CBS This Morning. Former Deputy Director of the CIA, Michael Morell, joins us. How do the allegations about the president in John Bolton's book impact our national security? Plus, in our financial fallout series, hear from black business owners who say they have not gotten the loans needed to stay afloat during this pandemic. And stopping the stigma, we'll ask a psychiatrist how racism and the coronavirus have affected mental health in the black community. All that coming up when we see you at 7.